Let's live to play another play. Don't take that hit. If you feel the pocket coming down on you and you take off running and the backer is coming off of coverage and he's coming screaming at you, throw the ball away. Yeah, sounds pretty easy. I could imagine that that's probably a lot harder to do than it is to say. And I thought about this yesterday, and Triggs, you weren't here. We were talking about LaFleur implementing a bit of a new system where Aaron Rodgers isn't going to audible like he does and has done really his whole career. And then we talked a couple of weeks ago about Cam Newton sort of doing that same thing, them trying to get him to fundamentally sort of change the way he is. I can't liken this to anything, but these guys, they've been playing since they were 5. It's like telling me every morning to change the way that I eat my cereal, put the milk in first, and then, like, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. Is this even possible to make these sort of adjustments?
Yeah, if he wants to stay healthy and continue to play in this league, then he's going to have to adjust. I mean, this isn't something as simple as change the way you drop back or turn your hips a little bit differently or snap the ball or bring your arm a little bit more forward when you're throwing deep passes. It's protecting his body. So, you know, telling an individual that you need to take care of yourself at the point of impact, which means, you know what, you got to live to play another down. When you're escaping the pocket and you want to fight for that extra yard, it's okay if we go to 4th down and have to punt. It's okay if you don't scramble for an extra 2 yards and take that hit by the linebacker or safety. So, yes, he can change his game, and it is ideal for
Rodgers is going to be in a situation where he knows what he wants to do and he's not going to do what he wants to do. I don't know if that's possible.
That's a mental approach to the game. That's the way that you approach calling the game at the line of scrimmage. As far as taking care of his body, it's the same thing that Lamar Jackson had to do this year. Remember when he first got on the field, he took some crazy hits, his body being folded in different directions, and then towards the end of the year, he started scooting his butt out of bounds and taking care of his body.
Yeah, well, I mean, I look at it this way. It's Mariota, but it's also a guy like Carson Wentz who they already paid. So for Mariota, you draft him 2nd overall because of what he was in college, which was a dynamic dual attack athlete. It's a guy who can, even if it wasn't recklessly, he plays fearlessly, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm going to go run for that. I'm going to get it. I'm going to be aggressive. But to John Robinson's point, they ended last season with Blaine Gabbert at quarterback in the biggest game of their season.
Yep.
It's his final year of his contract. They haven't given him a long-term extension. I'm not sure where those talks are. If you're talking to Mariota, it's because we want you on the field. Yes. So can he change that mentally? Well, we'll have to see.
Can he still be as effective? Like, don't you want him going out there and playing? I meant recklessly in a good way.
Yeah.
Like he wants to go out there, get killed, make the play kind of mentality to see. I mean, it's not just a physical thing you're changing, it's a mental thing as well. You mentioned the 5th year thing. He's playing out his option. So is a guy he's been compared to since they were taken 1 and 2 overall, and Jameis Winston back in 2015. Which one of these guys do you guys think is better set up for success ahead of training camp? Mariota, who's healthy in offensive line, or Jameis, who has Arians?
You know, for me, when I'm looking at Mariota, the biggest thing that he has in his favor is the running back behind him. Derrick Henry's an absolute monster. When you have a guy like that you can lean on, it makes you a better quarterback. And I think for him, that's also a reason why he needs to take care of his body, because he doesn't need to be the rusher. You have a couple of guys behind you that can do that for you. Now, when it comes to the passing game, I feel like Jameis has an advantage. You have Mike Evans, who is underrated in this league, and Bruce Arians coming in as soon as he got this job, without a doubt, saying that Jameis is my guy. You know, it's funny, like, even though the Titans, they're behind Mariota, don't get me wrong, but they weren't as adamant about the future that Mariota has with the Titans. Arians came in right away and said, listen, I'm looking forward to taking Jameis' game to the next level, and for that reason, I do feel like Jameis might have just a little bit of an advantage going into this season as far as success.
If Jameis survived last year and that whole incident, and Ryan Fitzpatrick starting the season with a win over the Saints in Superdome, if Jameis survived what he's been through in 4 years, to me, this Bucs leadership is basically saying we're all in on Jameis. Like, that's it. If you could survive the negative headlines, the consistent losing, and the inaccuracy in big spots, and still be treated to another head coach, his 3rd head coach in 5 years, and still be told that they're not giving up on what Mariota, they just went and traded for Ryan Tannehill, despite the fact that Marcus Mariota went into Arrowhead and has won a playoff game in his career. And he's a good player. Like, Mariota's had a more successful team career. He's probably had a more successful individual career. And yet Jameis Winston has had this fortress of just invincibility in Tampa, where
it says a lot about him.
6-16 he is the past 2 seasons.
They believe that they know enough in that building where his potential is through the roof. He hasn't done it on the field yet. The team has had no success with Jameis Winston as the quarterback. And yet I still say he has a safer spot in that Tampa organization than Mariota does long term, just based on them bringing another coach and another one just raving about him again.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking about who could be more successful. I feel like offensively, more like Jameis is set pretty much, O.J. Howard, Mike Evans, and Arians. But I look at like the Titans, I wouldn't be surprised, even with a defensive-minded coach, if the Titans made the playoffs. I don't think the Bucs are there this year.
Fair.
I guess that doesn't matter because of the invincibility.
Until Jameis gets that long-term deal, though, we don't know. I mean, they could talk a lot. Let's see him get that long-term deal, put their money where their mouths are.
All right, let's let Will do some talking out there on the West Coast with the headlines this morning. What's up, Will?
All right, thank you, Kay. Appreciate that. A lot of intrigue there in Tennessee and Tampa Bay, and also in Dallas as well. Wide receiver Amari Cooper put up, as we saw, impressive numbers during his first 9 games as a Cowboy, which is maybe